thinking a bit about sort of the economics of the system, and there's been lots of interest over recent years in terms of integrating livestock into arable rotations. It's definitely something that we've been asked about, you know, benefits of it. You've kind of taken it to the extreme, because I know you were an arable farm and you're transitioning completely to livestock. What were your drivers?
Yeah, I mean, it might not be a permanent transition.
Okay.
It's a sort of means to an end of trying to give us options.
Yeah.
If it's the best economic option at the time, say in 5 or 10 years' time,
Yeah.
we'll carry on and hopefully keep doing some good. But if there's something that is, you know, a viable crop that can slot into this, that's going to compete economically, I'm not afraid just to jumping back to. But it was the lack of options that forced us to go down this route. We trialled it, obviously, and economically, even in 2 relatively tricky years, it beats 90% of our arable enterprises. So yeah, it's kind of a no-brainer, really. You're doing some good and making more money.
Yeah, and sort of the payments. So you just tell us about you're getting subsidy payments, GS4 for.
Yeah, GS4 and SAM 3.
Yeah.
So I think, I can't remember exactly off the top of my head, I think £378 or something a hectare. Yes.
Which
so
is quite
which makes a big difference to the
Yeah.
whole equation. As a standalone enterprise, away from the whole subsidy side of things, it still does stack up.
Yeah.
And I would say that soon to be arable crops are going to have no single farm payment attached to them, which makes them look pretty unattractive as well.
Yeah.
Or for us.
Yeah. So I know you and me, we've talked about costings before, because obviously we did an economic analysis with the work we did with Peter Lord in Somerset with AHDB Beef and Lamb, where we looked at all the costs of setting up the system. So this is his beef and beef on the temporary leys, so all the fencing, water, the cattle costs, any vet and med costs against the return, and the establishment of the lay as well. Against the return he was getting from the animals. And I think when we did that, we were very conservative with our figures. But what we showed from that is it didn't top wheat, which, you know, if you get a good wheat crop, that always does
pretty
very
hard
well
to compete
but
with.
it was doing better than other arable crops in the rotation. I remember at the time you pointed out to me, but because that analysis we didn't include a subsidy payment, because he didn't apply for a GS4 payment for those lays. You pointed out that if you put GS4,
so if it was competitive without another high £300 a hectare added on top, yeah.
But how important do you think it is to actually doing those? Because you've obviously done that analysis for your farm. How important do you think it is to actually do those figures and work out?
Yeah, it's what drove the change, I guess.
Okay.
And it shows. It's quite a risk-averse option as well, in that we don't own the cattle; they're contract reared, and that the lay is subsidised, so we're tenants. So we have to find that rent every year.
Yeah.
Essentially, the stewardship payment pays for our rent.
Yeah.
It's scalable because they're contract reared, so we can just ring up and have another lorry load.
Yeah.
The capital investment from an infrastructure perspective is also subsidised from a countryside stewardship capital works. So it seems like now is the time to get into it if you want to while it's there.